Yo, once again, it's on. Back at you one more again, Real Cans TV and the House Light Kitchen Sinks. Hopefully you like the video. Feel free to comment, definitely share, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And be sure to hit that post notification. So anytime I bring you this action and this heat, guess what? You're amongst the first to receive. Now, with no further ado, let's get into this morning's video, if you will. 1 o'clock a.m. Tuesday morning. And I want to piggyback off of a real good friend of mine, man. It's Trap Talk Blue. He's out of Detroit, Michigan. One of the realest podcast YouTubers out there. So y'all go check him out if you're not familiar with him. Trap Talk Blue. But I'm piggybacking off of the video that he made in regards to Fleece Johnson. Now, it's interesting because I had already planned to do a reaction video. Okay, Fleece Johnson, his podcast or his YouTube channel is Hustler Spirit 502. Now, for you all that follow me, you know that I consistently shout out Hustler Spirit 502, featuring Fleece Johnson, Big Lee. Big Lee is the interviewer. Now, they flipped the script. So Fleece Johnson asked the questions and Big Lee answered the questions. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, it was very interesting because a lot of times we hear Big Lee's voice, but we never actually see his face. So Fleece Johnson was asking him, you know, all types of different questions or what have you that the viewers may want to know. Now, it was very interesting because he touched on the Vlad TV situation. For you all that are not familiar with it, Fleece Johnson, Hustler Spirit 502, featuring Big Lee, they were in the works to go on to Vlad TV. Now, if you're not familiar with Vlad TV, it's one of the biggest platforms out there, maybe the biggest, like hip-hop. They interview, like, certain celebrities, hip-hop artists, you know, former gang members, former mafia members, people that have had multiple bodies, you know, all types of people that he's had on his platform, Vlad TV. He has close to 6 million subscribers. So it's a very, very large platform. And Fleece Johnson, they were supposed to be going on to the show. Something ended up happening to where Big Lee stated that Vlad said that he didn't have the staff to travel to Louisville, Kentucky. Now, Vlad is a multi-millionaire worth a whole lot of money. So all of a sudden now you don't have the staff to travel to Louisville, Kentucky. Vlad went on to say that the reason that he didn't want to go through with the interview is for the simple fact that he had proof. This guy went on, not national TV, but he went on the internet and said that he had proof that Fleece Johnson was graping. I got to say grape. He was graping other men. Doing things that was, you know, not appropriate with other men. Well, it's interesting because Big Lee said that him and Fleece Johnson, they have a mutual friend. And he was introduced to Fleece Johnson. And before he ever agreed to work with him, he did his homework. He did his due diligence, you know. And he wanted to make sure that he never messed with any kids. He never did anything to any elderly people. And he never graped, we're going to say graped, anyone. Upon his research, he found that, hey, this guy, man, he's totally being misjudged. As I did. I misjudged Fleece Johnson because for years, you got to understand, I was in the Kentucky Department of Corrections. Fleece Johnson did over 40 years in the Kentucky Department of Corrections. We were never in the same facility at once, but his name floats around. Anybody that's seen Boondocks, seen MSNBC, he was portrayed in a totally different light. So when you look at Fleece Johnson, it's like, oh yeah, that's the guy that, you know, he's in there, he's graping guys. You know, that's the guy that said, you know, booty is more important than water. He did say it. You know, I must admit it. However, listening to Fleece Johnson and listening to Big Lee, basically they broke it down and said, although you heard him and seen him say these things, that's not exactly what it was. See, Fleece thought that he was never getting out of prison. The man had so many different write-ups. He had a 12-year sentence, and he turned it into serving over 40 years. So it was a scared straight program. You see what I'm saying? So they enticed him. They probably, you know, greased his palms a little bit. Hey, say this. We trying to keep the kids out of prison, out of penitentiary. So when the cameras was on, Fleece, he performed. He talked about all sort of graping, and if I want you, I'm gonna have you. He said all of those things, but now we're coming to understand that these things were said because he was encouraged by the Department of Corrections, by MSNBC, to say these things to help keep kids out of prison. He ended up getting out of prison. He didn't even want to come home. Fleece Johnson, he cussed the parole board out. He did not want to, he was trying to stay and remain in prison because, after you do 40 years, who's left? Mother passed away. Father them passed away. All sort of your brothers, your siblings, some of your siblings, relatives, friends. What are you coming out here to? You don't have anything out here. So Fleece really didn't even want to come home. But guess what they do? They give him parole anyway. So he comes out. He's in society. He's trying to do the right thing. He doesn't have anywhere to go. So guess what? He has to go to a halfway house. Probably stayed in a halfway house. Typically in Kentucky, you go to a halfway house. They might let you stay there 5 or 6 months. You get you a little job, save your money up. You put a certain percentage towards getting your own place. And then, after 5 or 6 months, you move out and you start to establish yourself. Ended up getting married. Had a lovely wife. So everything was cool, but it wasn't cool for the simple fact that every time he would get a job, as he stated, he works on houses. He does concrete. He does masonry, bricklaying, drywall. He can paint. He can do all of these things. He can frame houses. But the problem is, once they learned who he was, he would get fired. Fleece went on to say that he lost over 60 jobs just on his reputation alone. That just wasn't true. Problem is, he didn't have a voice. He didn't have a platform. He couldn't really tell his story. He could tell people, but how many people is really listening? How many people can he really tell? He didn't have any sort of platform. Next thing you know, Big Lee comes along. Once he did his due diligence, he did his research, he got all of his prison records from Eddyville, from North Point. Fleece Johnson's been to every penitentiary in the state of Kentucky with the exception of Green River. I've been to Green River too, man. They were stabbing like crazy down there back in, 2013? Yeah, there's a whole lot of stabbing going on at Green River. But nevertheless, once Fleece Johnson, he was verified by Big Lee. He agreed to work with him. They got all the information. And so now it gave Fleece a voice. It allowed him to tell his side of the story. Yeah, I know what you all seen. I understand that you seen me on the Boondocks. I never even gave these fools permission to do that. I don't understand why he can't sue them. I don't know if Fleece signed something at the time, giving them permission to use his name and likeness. I'm assuming that something like that probably took place. I've never heard them mention that. I've never heard them, say anything of that stature. But I'm figuring that it has to be something for the simple fact that he's been unable to sue those guys. So when you see these things, yeah, it's very easy to, oh man, Fleece, man, he's a nasty, SOB. Now, I will say, he did admit to doing certain inappropriate acts while he was in prison during his 40-year incarceration. However, it was never forced. It was never unwanted. It was always willingly, according to Fleece. Now, I don't agree with that, but hey, to each his own. He did what he had to do, not making any sort of excuses, not making any sort of, trying to justify it. The man went to prison at the time he was a boy. He's a man now, but I'm saying at the time he was a boy. 15, 16 years old. They sent him to prison. Actual prison. He's in Eddyville. Eddyville, for you all not familiar with prisons and Kentucky prison, man, at the time in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, Eddyville was the most notorious prison in Kentucky. As far as in the state, now the feds is different. You got Big Sandy, and that's very, very, very dangerous. But I'm saying as far as being a state inmate, Eddyville is where the death penalty, that's where death row's at. You see, so Fleece Johnson did his time in a very toxic, violent environment to where a lot of the things that he speaks of, it was normal. It wasn't frowned upon. It was cool. It was cool to have your boyfriend in there. Now, it's not for everybody, but it wasn't one of those things where people had a tendency to try to hide it. It is what it is. So, Fleece, as a young kid, he had never been with a woman before. Again, I'm not justifying that. Definitely, I'm not justifying that. But I'm also trying to, in a sense, relay some of the things that, he said and try to understand, not agree. So there's a difference between agreeing and understanding. Trying to understand his frame of mind, his mental. He never thought he was getting out. I mean, this guy done fought inmates. This guy done fought guards. This guy done just kept accumulating more and more time. He's thrown hot water in CO's faces. He's anything that you can possibly imagine. Stab people, whatever. He's done it. So, doing 12 years in the hole, I believe he said he was sentenced to do 23 years in the hole, but he did 12. 12 years flat in the hole. Do you know, going to the hole is the most terrible thing. I've been to the hole a couple times, and it's, you get in a fight, 15 days in the hole. A lot of times, if the hole is overcrowded, the people that got in the fight, they'll probably let you out in about a week, 6, 7, 8 days or what have you. But typically when you get into a fight, you're going to do 15 days in the hole, or sentenced to 15 days in the hole. All type of things they'll send you to the hole for. You're in there all day long. There's no TV. There's no visits. There's no phone. You might get a phone call, but there's weird times they give you a phone call. Like, your phone time might be during your rec time. Well, hell, your rec time might be at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. Those are the type of games and nasty tactics that they use, when you're in prison. So, when you're in the hole, a lot of times, man, they may take your pen from you, your paper from you. Just depends on what you're in the hole for. And when they do give you those things, you have, 30 minutes to write a letter. You see what I'm saying? Or during your rec time. Your rec time, you got an hour. So you got to write a letter where they give you your pen and paper. You got to try to use the phone, but 9 times out of 10 at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to be able to use the phone. Plus the phones are turned off at that time. You got to take a shower. All type of things that you have to get accomplished during this time. This 1 hour window of time that you have while you're in the hole. Imagine. 15 days killed me in the hole. Man, that absolutely killed me. A couple times I had to go to the hole. I'm like, oh, man, you just in there by yourself. This man did 12 years in the hole. 12 years in the hole. That's unheard of. That's actually, now I've seen people that have done it, on Lock Up Raw and things like this. But you never know if any of those things are true. Because as Fleece said, a lot of times they're just saying certain things for ratings. They want you to say certain things to try to scare the kids. But really, I don't even think it's so much of scaring the kids. They don't give a damn about them kids. I think it's more so for ratings, for the network. That's just my personal belief, my opinion. But we learned a lot of these things from listening to Fleece interview Big Lee. Now, people say, oh, well, Big Lee, you have to be capitalizing off of this. You have to be making money off Fleece. Well, my thing is this. He extended a hand to Fleece. You see, Fleece was kind of just out here. He was kind of drowning a little bit. He was falling back. And Big Lee, he got the big arm. Come on, bro, I'm going to help you. As long as I can verify everything, as long as I can make sure that your story is correct, as I've already previously mentioned, I got you. And over time, they've been able to accumulate an audience in which they have just shy of 50,000 subscribers. Their videos do very well. So, although I am helping you, Fleece, I got to get something out of this just as well. Now, this wasn't my motive. Big Lee went on to say, man, I was already successful. I'm a homeowner. Been on my job for X amount of years. I have my own cleaning company. I don't have no felonies. I've never been in no trouble. I've only been arrested one time, in which I spent 12 hours in jail for fighting. So Big Lee was already successful. He didn't need Fleece Johnson to, and I say this in the most respectful light, he didn't need Fleece Johnson. Fleece Johnson kind of needed somebody to help him. So now, they're seeing the fruits of their labor. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Fleece is getting his. I'm sure Big Lee is none of my business. None of any of our business. But he's an agent. He's the manager. He's the guy that's responsible for recording the content. He's the guy, he's the interviewer. He's putting out the content. He's editing the content. He's having the new intro that they just, you know, I believe maybe about a week or two ago, they just inserted a new intro. So these are the things that he's doing. So yes, he deserves to get a cut. And again, it's none of my business what his cut is. But I'm a very good judge of character. A lot of people say that. Big Lee's not using Fleece Johnson. I guarantee you, Fleece Johnson is getting more than his fair share. Now, my thing is this. I know I've kind of gone everywhere with it, but my thing is this. Okay, Trap Talk Blue, Detroit, Michigan, man. Y'all go check him out, man. Plus he's a funny guy. He's very hilarious. He talks about how Vlad TV, kind of touched on it earlier. He won't allow Fleece to come on to his show. Now, I've made a couple videos about this previously. Now, you've had mobsters, you've had gangsters, you've had killers, you've had drug dealers, you've had all type of criminals on your show. You have Lil Boosie on there on a regular basis. Lil Boosie was facing a death penalty. Now, he beat it. He won in trial. But the man was facing a death penalty. Brags about being a gangster. Brags about being street. Brags about, this and that. Yet you won't allow Fleece Johnson to come onto your platform in which everybody wins. You win. Who doesn't want to hear Fleece Johnson? Man, the man is so entertaining. He's funny. But I'm going to tell you, man, he's sincere. Vlad would win, but Vlad says, oh, no, it's all about my principles. It's all about my morals. Yeah, I know that, I'm sacrificing money by not having him on here, but some of the things that I received as far as the reports, I can't justify that. First of all, Vlad, you lying. Okay? Big Lee has over 800 pages, documents. Everything Fleece Johnson says is documented. Nothing about graping anybody. Nothing about doing anything to someone that didn't want it. I got to be very, very careful with my words because, by me being monetized and everything, they'll limit my monetization by saying certain words. So that's why I have to say graped. YouTube, man, they really on some funny type stuff once you get monetized. So, it's just one of those things to where it's like, why not give him his shot? Why not give him his shot at the title to come and let the world know, like, even though we have 50,000 subscribers, in the major scheme of things, no disrespect whatsoever, that's not really a lot compared to all the people that watch YouTube on a daily basis. You see what I'm saying? Now, you put them on a platform such as Vlad TV, millions of people is going to watch that. Millions. Shannon Sharp at Club Shay Shay had Cat Williams. That would be his Cat Williams interview. But now, his integrity, his that he says, won't allow him to have Fleece Johnson on there. Fleece Johnson needs to be able to go on to Vlad TV, and he needs to be able to go on there and tell his story, to tell his side, and also to promote his book. Why not? Club Shay Shay should have him on there, but Club Shay Shay is just kind of in a different, you got Vlad TV and you got Club Shay Shay. Now, Vlad TV has more subscribers, but guess what? Club Shay Shay's coming. See, all of pause, double pause, triple pause. So, my thing is this. Club Shay Shay can get the guests that Vlad can't get. So, ultimately, he's going to pass Vlad TV up. And, understandably, Vlad, I'm not hating on him. He does a great job. He's been in the business grinding or what have you. People call him a culture vulture. I don't know if he's a culture vulture. I'm getting tongue-tied tonight. Let me, a little sip of water. Doesn't like some good water. But, Vlad is just, I feel like he's wrong for this. Man. Allow Fleece Johnson to tell his story. Man, the guy, man, to me is a hero. Again, I don't agree with the things that he did while he was in prison. Was he perfect? Who is? Are you? Am I? Are they? Is she? Nobody's perfect, you know? But the guy is so sincere, man. He talked about how he has 4 friends right now and he sends them $50 a week while they're locked up in prison. Man, that's so touching, because if you sent 4 people $20 a week in prison, man, that's just a touching situation, man. You know, you have people in prison that don't have anybody looking out for them. Absolutely nothing. And if you've never been to prison, you don't understand. You need money in prison. You definitely need money in prison. So for Fleece to do some of the things that he does, he talks about he helps people in the community. He gives out money. He gives out his time. He still helps his wife, which I think they're going through a separation at this point. But he talks about how he's bought her cars and he gives her money for groceries. And the guy's just a great guy. He just went to prison at freaking 15, 16 years old. So he's not going to be... They freaking pulled his teeth out. He had a reputation for biting people. He used his teeth as a weapon. So a lot of times we mock the way that he talks, like, you know, everything that he talks about is documented. Well, he says it's documented. It's documented because he doesn't have any teeth. You know why? Because the Department of Corrections put in an order, signed by the governor, or what have you, and they went in and literally pulled all of his teeth out. So now I'm quite sure that once his book comes out and is successful, because I know that it's going to be, he's going to get to the point to where he can, you know, I don't know exactly what he will get done, but he will have some teeth at some point. I don't know if it's dentures. I don't know if it's, so that's why it sounds kind of, but he'll have teeth at some point. And he'll be able to do the things that he never been able to really travel. He's never been able, he talks about it. If I make a lot of money, if I make millions, man, I don't need anything extravagant. Give me a little land, give me a little boat, house. I'm cool. I don't need anything. I just want to be able to help people. And I believe him. He's genuine. Big Lee's genuine. Man, Big Lee's reached out to me. I don't even got 3,000 subscribers. And he's offered his hand to me. Hey, we're going to do something real soon, man. Man, that means the world to me. He don't need me. I got 3,000 subscribers. I don't even have 3,000 subscribers. I got 2,500 subscribers. He has almost 50. See, it's all about these guys, man, is big ups, man. Big ups to Hustle Spirit 502, Big Lee. Same with Jay Williams. You know, I got to throw my dog Jay Williams in there, man. I just talked to him last week. Doing very, very, very well. As usual. Just living his best life, man. Being there for his kids. Doing all the things that he wanted to do early on, but because he was working so much, he was unable to do. He's offered to do an interview with me. You know, it just hasn't manifested yet because I'm not forcing it. He's not forcing it. It'll happen when it happens. You see what I'm saying? I'm not in it for that. If it happens, cool. If it happens, cool. But if it doesn't happen, that's cool just as well, man. I got to earn my keep. I got to, I got to get it out of the mud the same way these guys did. But, so shout out to Jay Williams. Let's live life. Shout out to Hustle Spirit 502, Fleece Johnson, Big Lee. Shout out to Trap Talk Blue, out of Detroit, Michigan. Shout out to my dog Jason V, out of Florida. Y'all need some windows. You need them storm windows. You need to holler at him, Jason V. It's a lot of guys support my channel. My dog Nate. I believe Nate's in Indiana. We're going to get together. We're going to get that interview done, man. Don't think that I'm dodging you or what have you. We going to come up with a time and we're going to make it happen. But, man, just everybody support each other. Man. That's the way I look at it. Everybody support each other. Support Fleece Johnson. His book's coming out. I'm not exactly sure exactly when. But, again, you can go to Hustle Spirit 502. And his book's coming out. And let's just share this video. And let's try to get this information to Vlad. I know Vlad's way up here. Let's try to get these videos to Vlad. Vlad needs to understand that how he's doing Fleece Johnson is wrong. Now, Big Lee, I like what he said. Man, I ain't even stressed it, man. What's done is done. They ain't doing no begging. This is me talking. I'm from Kentucky. They're from Kentucky. But they didn't put me up to do. This is me talking. I want to see Fleece Johnson on Vlad TV. And I want him to be able to tell his story. Because you can invite him back over and over the same way you do Boosie. And I guarantee you, man, once you do an interview with him, you definitely going to want him to come back, man. Pause. Real Kens TV. Hopefully you like the video. Feel free to comment. Definitely share. Subscribe to the channel. if you're not already subscribed. And be sure to hit that post notification. So anytime I bring you this action and this heat, guess what? You're amongst the first to receive, man. Fleece Johnson.